Ladies and gentlemen, Inter Miami defeat Toronto 1-0 on the road I was going to say last night, but last afternoon, with a late winner coming up from Leo Campana in the 3rd minute of stoppage time, keeping the point record alive for the Herons to beat. Inter Miami also become the 4th club in league history to produce at least 70 points in the MLS regular season, tied with FC or CF Montreal back in 2022. Um, for the most road win games in a single season at post shootout area, guys. Welcome back to the SoFlo Soccer channel. Um, and My name is Matt, your host, as always. And we have hopefully a bit to talk about from what was supposed to be a very uninteresting, boring, dull, snooze fest of a no draw turned into a very dramatic late winner from Leo Campana and the Herons. We're gonna have a couple of things to talk about. There honestly isn't much to talk about from the game itself because it literally nothing happened. Like I'm sure for journalists and for anybody that's covering the game, it's going to be very difficult to cover what was essentially a no draw up until the 93rd minute. But we're not going to talk about too much of the game today, but to kind of what this win means, the lineup that we chose, Toronto situation. We're going to talk about the MLS situation as a whole because a lot of games were played yesterday, and then we have a deadline or decision day coming up later this month for pretty much the majority of the clubs. First up for Toronto, I mean, like Toronto, this was their last game of the season, and unfortunately, they just couldn't get a result. If they would have gotten at least a draw, they would have been in somewhat of a contention to keep their playoff berth alive. But with this loss now, and with the majority of the other teams winning, and essentially their playoff run is over, and they will not be qualifying for the playoffs. Um, we can actually, and it's so upsetting. It's very upsetting for a team like Toronto because on paper they are not a bad team at all. I mean, they have quality. Like it's a solid team. It's a solid team for the MLS. It's a solid team. Like Toronto and Toronto are known to, or they've used to have quality players. And I mean, like they have Entienne, they have Osorio, they have Longstaff, they have Sean Johnson, who used to be one of the best goalkeepers in the league a couple of years ago. They have even Gomi. They had Insigne off the bench. I mean, Bernadeschi suspended. But you would think a team like that, they would, get together and put up and compete maybe to be one of the better teams in the Eastern Conference. But what they just did this season was not enough, especially in their most recent run of form. It came at the worst time possible for them, losing, what is it, or not having a win in like 5, 6, 7 games or something like that, or something ridiculous like that. I don't know. But yeah, we'll feel bad for Toronto. It's a positive for us that we get a win here because we do keep our points record alive. We still have the opportunity to make history in the MLS. Ash, welcome. Good afternoon. What's up, guys? Thank you for joining in pretty early on. Thank you for tuning in uh, on this what is a very cloudy, very rainy, very depressing Sunday afternoon here in South Florida. Don't know what it's like where you guys are at in the world, but we do have this hurricane slash. It's a tropical storm that will turn into a hurricane over the weekend and essentially throughout this entire week. Um, Felt sorry for Toronto, says Elmer. They did their best with the talent they had available, but better that she screwed them with his bad behavior. And there's not really much to disagree with you on that one. It sucks. It's very unfortunate to be a Toronto fan to have this. It's not a bad team at all. Like it's really not a bad team, especially when you have the experience of Longstaff when he played for Newcastle. When you have Entienne, who's played for the Haitian national team. When you have Osorio, when you have Sean Johnson, when you have Gomi, when you have Insigne, Benedetti. It sucks. It's not a bad team. So yeah, I don't know. It sucks for them. Yo, what's up, Lionel Monaco? Sunny in California. That really must be nice. I mean, like, I've heard that California is really nice this time of year with it's sunny, low humidity. I had my boss recently go to California for a wedding, and it was he enjoyed it. He really liked it. So Can't say the same for down here in Florida. It's always high humidity, and either it's the sun is beating down on you with really high humidity, or it's just pouring rain. So it's either one or the other. You're not going to get anything in between. But anyways, guys, like I said, there isn't much really to talk about for this game. I do want to pull up the starting 11 that we used yesterday. I think is a very interesting one. We all expected a huge amount of rotation. Um, but I mean, yeah, no, this was kind of on a different level. So here it is right here, the starting 11 for Inter Miami that was used yesterday. This is not the graphic that they showed on TV, but what they showed on TV was just wrong. It wasn't correct at all. But Ustari, the backup goalkeeper, the free agent that we signed from South America, I mean, who he had so much experience coming into the team, and it was a really solid pickup, honestly. I remember when we first picked him up, I thought it was a really good signing. And so I already assumed that he was going to get the starting, or he was going to get the starting position over Calendar. I mean, like, it's like, cuz it's why not, right? It's a road game. The game essentially doesn't matter. It's best to not risk your starting goalkeeper. So yeah, I Ustari, and he played fantastic, guys. Like, he played absolutely fantastic. He was so calm. He was so composed. He was a leader in his. He was commanding his area, and he was him with the defense in front of him. I felt very safe. Even though Toronto did get a lot of opportunities up top, I thought with the defense with Noah Allen, El Toto Aviles and Kretsov honestly wasn't a bad selection with Ustari leading that line. 74 points, yes, sir. I mean, we're that's what we're gonna try to aim for. That's what we're gonna try to hope for. Later on this month, hopefully we can reach that 74-point mark. Elmer says, "Hope Messi doesn't return broken from Argentina. They need to give Inter a refund every time they break our most expensive toy. LOL." This is something that I'm gonna talk about when guys, because guys, remember, we're going to be on this international break for the next 2 weeks. That doesn't mean I'm going to stop live streaming. I will be talking about the Argentina game, so I'm going to do it in English so you guys can understand. So highly recommend you guys come over, because we're going to talk about Messi, we're going to talk about Argentina, and then we're going to relate it back to Inter Miami and what that's going to mean for Inter Miami. But yes, hopefully everybody just comes back healthy from international break, because honestly, going into the playoffs, that's really all we can hope for. Ustadi looked so fluid, and he had a couple of saves that blew my mind. And you can just tell that this is a very experienced goalkeeper just by how he played yesterday, and that makes me feel extremely safe as a Miami play or as a Miami fan. Um, being the in the worst case scenario that Drake Calendar gets injured, we have Ustari. And that's not something that I could say before Ustari. Like, if Drake Calendar got injured, I was gonna be like, we're kind of screwed in the box, because even though Dos Santos is a great goalkeeper in my opinion, I think that he just doesn't have the experience, the leadership ability, or maybe he does, right? But him commanding a defensive line of Sergio Busquets or Toto Aviles or Kritsov or anybody, Jordi Alba, and I don't think he's there yet, because he's still young, right? He doesn't have the experience that a player like Ustari has, and Ustari he's up there in age. I believe he's like 37 years old. Um, he's played all over the world. He's commanded solid and big defensive lines, and he's played in big games, so he has that experience. So I feel very safe knowing that worst case scenario, God forbid, that Drake Calendar gets injured, we have Ustari as the backup. Ustari, for his only outing, really steady, better with his feet than Calendar, but hard to say for one time only. Right. We can't completely praise him, because it was only the one time we're seeing Ustari play, but it is first impressions are a big thing, right? So just by the one game that he played, I think it's promising. It shows safety. It definitely shows that security and safety just in case Drake Calendar gets injured, we do have somebody who is capable of filling in that role in like pretty well, right? Um, Hopefully we get well, I don't want to say hopefully, right? Unless like Drake Calendar just has like a really bad game at some point, which hopefully he shouldn't because we're at the end of the season and that's not the time to have a bad game. But I would like to see Ustadi play more. Unfortunately, don't know if that's gonna happen. Um because he's only signed up until the end of this season and don't know if he's actually gonna get any playing time throughout the playoffs. But we'll see what happens. He seemed to have communication with Chris. I think he had great communication with with everybody. I thought he was able to communicate great with the defense. And speaking of the defense, we'll get to this comment and then we'll talk about the defense. It's too bad we couldn't call up Ustari for the U.S. men's national team. Our current goalie pool is so underwhelming. Well, he's not declared for the the U.S. He's declared for Argentina. He's also 37 years old. Unless you're talking about Drake Calendar, then yeah, no, Ustadi is not American. Ustadi can't play for the U.S. men's national team. He's already represented Argentina. But hold on. Anyway, um, but for the defense, like I thought Noah Allen, like hands down, I want to talk about him first. I thought Noah Allen was one of the best players on the pitch, and this is so impressive from a player of his stature, a player of that nobody really looks at or nobody really expects anything from to perform the way that he's performing, not just yesterday but in the last like set of games that he's played in this left center back role as a wide center back has been genuinely impressive. And for somebody of his, like I said, his stature, like he's not the tallest, he's not the strongest at all, in fact he's the complete opposite, but for what he can provide for this team is really really good. And honestly, when we go into the playoffs, this is a Noah Allen that I want to see in the playoffs. This is a Noah Allen that I want to see starting. This is a Noah Allen that I want to see be impactful and to be just a starter. Like I just want to see him. I want to see this guy play more in the playoffs because I think he will be very crucial to our defense, transitioning backwards, progressing the ball forward, and getting in those wide spaces in like half spaces and then still playing as a center back. I think it's going to be very awesome him being paired with whether that's an Aviles or a Sergio Busquets or a Martinez when he comes back. I think it's going to be awesome. I think it's going to be very very good. And I've already said it a couple times, right? So it's not really nothing new, but I think I think it just establishes even more because he's been consistent with it. Like he hasn't just been just a one and done in terms of having a good performance. He's been very very consistent with his good performances. So hopefully he can play a bigger role going into the playoffs. We'll see what you guys have to say about him. Already we have Skrilla saying man of the match. We have or number 10 also said before that, have you heard about what's happening with the last two playoff spots in the Eastern Conference? I have not heard anything about that, but at the end of after we're talking about this game, we're going to go over the table. We're going to go over the conference, or excuse me, the playoff spots for each conference and see what everybody is going to be at, because a lot of the games were played yesterday and decision day is going to be later on this month. No, Lionel Monaco also says that Noah Allen MVP of the game. Ultimately they gave it to Campana for the game winning goal, which we'll talk about in a minute. But that's something that I've always, I don't know if this is a hot take, but I feel like a lot of teams or a lot of journalists or I don't know media, they always give the player of the match, man of the match, icon of the game to the goal scorer or the guy that like. They always give it to the goal scorer, and I really don't like that most of the time because it's like, well, in this case, Campana, I won't get to it too much, but it's like they should have given it to somebody like Noah Allen or Ustari. I don't know. I think it should have been one of them, but I'm gonna talk about that later on, so I don't get ahead of myself. DC United will probably play Inter Miami. We are popping off right around Miami. Yes, so we're going to talk about the playoff possibilities later on in the street, like right after we talk about this game. So don't I appreciate, like, I love the enthusiasm. Hold on to that comment. Bring it back when we're done talking about the game. And yeah, we're gonna go through all of that. Allen key tackle in the last 10 minutes. Allen, I thought Allen was key throughout, but yes, you're 100% right. Allen was key throughout the entire game essentially, and it's just very very impressive. Somebody said yesterday Ben Karmashi is better off on the bench, and they are right. He was lost last night. Yes, unfortunately, I like Benja, I like Remachi, but it wasn't the best performance yesterday. But I'm gonna talk about why I think that was, and this is not gonna be me coming up with excuses for the team, but I definitely expected a little bit more from Benja. I did like what he did defensively, but this is not just him, but I think overall for the team, there was not a lot or anything in terms of going forward or progressive passing or progressive movement up the field to create chances at all. And that I don't want to put that solely on Benja, right? But throughout for the entire team, it just didn't look good. Aviles no yellow card, which is dude. If he got a yellow card, look, let's think about it this way. This was not the game to get a yellow card. Like this, getting a yellow card this game would be extremely stupid. Like you would have to be idiotic and you would have to do it on purpose. Longstaff, I think, is the only player that got a yellow. No, Coelho got a yellow card and Rusted. So their players got yellow cards, but at that point they were just doing it out of frustration. Here, let me show you guys that a little better. They were just doing it out of pure frustration. There was no excuse for anybody to get a yellow card that game. Like that would have just been a complete throwaway. And I think if he would have gotten a yellow card again, he would have been suspended for the next game. Which yeah, so luckily Aviles didn't get a yellow card, but I honestly didn't see anything of Aviles in this game. So I mean, like he did provide I guess a little bit of support for Fritzov and Allen. It was more kind of just like a together kind of thing. Individual performances, nobody really stood out. Is it my imagination, or do our ball handlers like to make an extra pass before taking shots on goal? We always take. I have noticed that we always take the extra pass to kind of secure. I don't know if that's something that they try to implement like in training. Like they probably say in training, oh, look for the extra pass before shooting to see maybe you'll have a better angle somewhere else. But I think they take it to an extreme. I think they take it to an extreme here because I feel like we could be shooting a little bit more. And so I think they're taking it a little too literal, a little too seriously. I think we could be shooting a little more because in that first, oh, I took a picture, but I don't, I think I could just pull it up right here. In that first half, I think we only had like one shot. We only had one shot that entire first half, as you could see right here. We only had one shot, which they had 7 shots. That's not good at all. Not good at all, man. So that's really bad. It's really worrying, right? Got to give Tata his flowers for always backing Allen in spite of his height. And I think this is a very rare Tata W, right? Because nobody, like I said before, Noah Allen is not somebody that you expect much from. Noah Allen is not a standout player. He's not this sexy, glamorous player that Inter Miami promote, like Messi, Suarez, Alba, Busi, and all of them. It's like, oh, like, dude, it's players like Bright, it's players like Noah Allen, it's these kinds of players that should make you come watch Inter Miami because it's like, well, okay, yeah, we have Messi and all of them, but it's like when you take them away, who do you have? We have Noah Allen, we have Yannick Bright. We still have Matias Rojas who could play well. We have Ruiz who could play well. Like we have players that could play well. So it's 100%. I got to give your flowers to Tata because Tata has always said that he sees Noah Allen as a center back, and I thought he was crazy for saying that because it's like, dude, he's so small, he's so short, he's like scrawny. He's not going to be able to beat these fast, big attackers that are coming at him. But no, both of them have proven me completely wrong. I think more Noah Allen than Dada. Like Noah Allen had to prove that he was the man for the job, and he definitely proved it. So huge props to both of them. Campana had a shitty game except for the goal from that beautiful pass from Lucho. Okay, I think we could probably talk about that now. Well, okay, no, we'll talk about the goal, and then we'll talk about kind of the overall team performance from the midfield forward. We talked about the defense. We talked about Rustari. Let's talk about this real quick. The Campana. So the Campana goal. First of all, The Campana goal was a golazo. It was a very, very good goal. I mean, the pass, Campana, they win it back in the midfield. Campana initiates winning the ball back in the midfield after dispossessing one of the Toronto players. I think it was Bright that passed it to back to Campana or Gomez. I think it was Gomez. I think Gomez passed it to Campana. Campana gave it to Suarez, who was on the wing. Very nice whipped in cross into the central areas. Very nice whipped in cross to the central, to the middle of the box, essentially where the penalty marker is. And Campana controls it with his left knee and bangs it bottom corner. Absolutely amazing goal. It's a beautiful, beautiful goal. And we can't take it away from him. And Campana has done it time and time again when it comes to scoring in the stoppage time of games, in the late games. He's done it against NYCFC earlier in the season. I believe he's done it against Chicago. He's done it like 3 or 4 times this season. So he's been kind of known to just come off the bench and just have some sort of impact. But however, not just Campana, right? I mean, like Campana didn't do anything this game, but nobody from the team itself has did anything attacking wise. Attacking wise, we were not there. We were non-existent. We were not able to progress forward up the, we just weren't able to progress up the field to create any sort of chance for us to score. And that could have been the reason that this is a very inexperienced, or maybe you should say unsynced. Like this is a team that is not synchronized with each other, that doesn't have a lot of chemistry with each other. Like when we've never seen a midfield of Negri, Benja, Ruiz, and Gressel. We've never seen a defense of Alan, Kritsov, and Aviles. We've never seen, not that we've never seen, we haven't seen in a long time of Taylor, Campana, and Rojas. Like they haven't played up there in a really long time. Probably a couple of months. Probably since Messi and all of them went to international duty and we had to play a couple games without him. But this midfield we've never seen before. The back line we've never seen before. So it's a very unsynchronized Inter Miami team, and so they had to adapt pretty quickly how to to play with each other. They very much rely on, like, okay, and you can tell, right, because when Messi, when Busi, when Gomez, when Bright came on and like when these players came on, Jordi Alba didn't come on, but when Luis Suarez, when Messi, when Busi came on, and when Yannick Bright came on, the game completely changed. Not like a whole lot, but you can notice the difference in quality in terms of progressing the ball. Like we were able to create more chances with Messi there, with Busi there, with Suarez a little bit. Yannick Bright was a fantastic. I thought he did fantastic off the bench. Um, it was just it was a different game, right? And it was a completely different game, and you could tell. And then they were able to adapt more to the players that got subbed on, right? And so yeah, like so I don't want to criticize our team for not playing like the best football ever, because we just haven't seen this team ever play. We've literally made 10 changes from last time out. I'm gonna take a sip of water and then I'm gonna get to your comments right now. Tommy says, excuse me, Benica is better in a midfield of 3, not 2. I can agree with this statement. I don't, if my preferred midfield 2 would be Benja and Bright, excuse me, not Benja and Bright, Busi and Bright, those are my preferred 2 midfielders. If I were to have a midfield 3, it would be Benja, Busi, Bright. Like, I just think Busi and Bright need to be together, man. And then if you throw Benja there as a third, or maybe even, no, maybe, and if you don't even put Benja there, you put Gomez there. Because if Gomez is not playing on the left wing, just put Gomez in the left center mid. I think training staff need to step up and work closer with Benja more to sharpen his skill set and not waste his talent. Iwain can work with him now that he's on staff for player development. So the thing is with Pipita, with Gonzalo Higuain, he's on the player development staff. I believe it's only for the Inter Miami 2 team. Don't know if he's actually going to be involved with the first team at all. He'll probably be involved for the first team in terms of moving players from the second team to the first team. Not really too sure how that's going to work. Um, but from what I understood from reading the staff roles, he's in charge of player development for the second team. I give that credit for remaking the team in his image and for the tiki taka philosophy. We did see a little bit of that, right? And I thought that was very good. It's not something that you want to see in the playoffs, right? Because we already have a system and we already have something that works. But for a game that doesn't matter, for a game that we're not taking any risks from, I thought it was good what we saw to an extent. I thought a lot of work needs to be done, but this is kind of like the first. This is the team without any of our superstars on it, without any of our big name players, our franchise players. So if we can maybe, I think with a little more time and with a little more time, a little more practice, and just a little more chemistry built between, and even maybe making some changes to the team, you can. This could be still be a pretty competitive Inter Miami team without our franchise players. Yeah, Campana, amazing golazo for sure. Absolutely. Don't think it's Campana's fault. Nobody passed the ball in the first half. Dude, the first half was our like the worst thing, like the worst performance ever. We only had one shot the entire half, and we were just kind of defending. Nobody did nobody did anything. The game was boring. The game was an absolute snooze fest. It was extremely boring to watch, honestly. I'm not gonna lie to you. I had to watch it today from like beginning to end, and it was like I didn't understand. Like I didn't realize how boring the game was because I all I knew was that the goal was scored in the 93rd minute. So I'm like, okay. So I'm like, I kind of expected for nothing really to happen, but I thought there would be close chances or just some opportunities or some key moments in the game. But literally there was nothing. Like, and I literally nothing. And I've watched an hour and 30 minutes of it. It sucked. Campana needs to service from a creator. That's why he was effective only when, excuse me, only when the Barca Fantastic Four entered the game. Right. I mean, and that's what I think I've said this in the past. We lack a creator outside of Messi. And I think Rojas probably would have been that guy, or Gomez would have been that guy. But we really, really lack somebody that can progress the ball forward and create chances. We're lacking a playmaker, and we don't know who that person can be. We need to find that person because Messi is only here for another year. And if we can't find a replacement, not like a Messi replacement, but a replacement meaning in finding a playmaker that can create chances, um, can progress the ball forward and influence the team and just create some sort of magic and like going up, like moving, like progress, like in the attack, like we're just gonna continue to struggle. So yeah, I mean, like obviously Campana, you can't really do anything as a striker if you're not being fed the ball. Like there's only so much you can do, especially with Campana's play style. But maybe when we have maybe Farias returning, maybe when we have I don't know. Uh, I mean that's kind of the only player attacking player. I mean like we have Leo Afonso who's another attacking player, but man, I don't know. We'll just have to see. Hopefully we can find our playmaker next season. But as of right now, it's kind of Messi or nobody really, or Messi and the Barca, the Fantastic Four. Each team needs a creator like Lucho. I was just gonna say Lucho actually. I was just thinking about Lucho. Lucho for Cincy or Ricky for Galaxy. Messi is currently the winning formula for the current top MLS. I mean, yeah, which is it sucks because it's like you can't. We don't have another playmaker or a player like Lucho or Ricky or any of these guys. Um, but like I said, hopefully we can find something for the next season. Because we're gonna need to find someone when Messi leaves. Midfield does not exist. Miami lucky to walk out with 3 points. Terrible game, zero chemistry. I mean, honestly, I mean that's the most straight up on it, the most straight up answer to this game. Yeah, but like I said, I don't want to criticize the team too much because this is a completely rotated Miami side, and I think it would just be unfair for us to really go in like crazy, like heavy criticism on this team. But I can agree that it was a boring game. It wasn't our best performance. But hey, at the end of the day, we walked away with the 3 points in literally the last 2 minutes of the game. So yeah. Boom. I still think Rojas is better in the midfield. I think so too. I mean, Rojas did play more centrally. I think in the second half, I would prefer Rojas as more of a central player. But I don't know. I mean, like it's in my opinion, if we play narrow, like if we play with like, I don't think we could play with like Messi and Rojas at the same time. I just don't think like that'll work out at all because Messi will come in centrally, and like if we have both Messi and Rojas coming in centrally, who would we have in the wing? Gressel or Chelo, and then on the other side would be Jordi. That's fine, but I don't know. Like it's, I feel like it's too. I feel like it's too central. We'll be playing too narrowly and too centrally, and I feel like ultimately we're not good playing through the middle. It's so I don't know. It's very iffy. Rojas tries something, but nobody opened up behind the line. I think Messi will stay for the 2026 season if he stays healthy. Yeah, we've talked about that multiple times. We'll bring that conversation back up. Probably either at the end of the postseason or maybe next year. But we've already talked about that a couple of times. But yeah, no, honestly, so yeah, honestly, there's not really much else to say about the game other than that it was boring. We all agree on it. Campana, even though had a fantastic goal, and now I believe now he's still like our top goal scorer, right? In the um for Inter Miami. Let me look that up really quickly. But I'm pretty sure after that goal, in Campana is still our top goal scorer, or all-time leading goal scorer. Because I forget what the stats are here. History, top goal scorers. Yes. So now he remains top goal scorer with 32 goals. Messi's in second place with 30 goals. Higuain with 29 and Luis Suarez with 22. For the MLS race, I believe Benteke still comfortably leads the MLS race top or Golden Boot race with I think it's 18 goals, which I'll pull up right now. Let me pull up this for you guys. Yeah, so right here, 18 goals or 23. He has 23 now. Jesus. Okay. I thought he had 18 for some reason. Why did I think he had 18? I think I was thinking of Suarez or something. I don't know. But Benteke leads that with 23. There's no possible way that Messi or Suarez like will ever catch up to that in the last game of the season. Like there's no way they score 5 goals or whatever. But Bouanga's, that's kind of crazy, huh? Anyway, league leaders, all player stats. Who else? Do we have any Inter Miami players up here? We have Suarez in fourth here. That's pretty much it. Oh, we have calendar for most interceptions, or for third highest interceptions. Luis Suarez with shots on fourth with shots on goal. We have El Toto Aviles with of course he does. We have El Toto Aviles with the most yellow cards in the MLS. How does that not surprise me at all? 13 yellow cards this season. That's actually insane. Okay, well, other than that, let's look at the league table. Let's look at scenarios, right? Let's look at scenarios. Let's look at the league table. Let's see like what could actually happen with it in Miami, right? So obviously with that win, we remain in first place in the Eastern Conference table. You guys need me to zoom in a little bit? Here, let's zoom in a little bit right there. So we have Inter Miami obviously still first place. Our next game is against the New England Revolution, who are one of the worst performing teams in the league, but they still somehow have the opportunity to qualify for playoffs, which is very crazy, honestly, to think about. Why? I'm trying to select my camera so I can be like more out of the way. There we go. They could still qualify for playoffs. They currently have 31 points in the league with they have 2 games remaining, so they have a possible 6 points. That is 37 points. I mean, like, actually, no, they have no chance. Yeah, no, never mind. They don't have a chance because of the other results. So we'll get to that in a second. We'll go to actually let's do this. Let's go to MLS. Let's go to matches and let's go to yesterday. And we'll see what happened here. So Atlanta beat the Red Bulls 2-1. Charlotte beat Montreal 2-0. That's okay, that's really good. We have Columbus. Oh, Montreal was in contention for the wild card. Now where do they stand? Now they stand okay, so now Montreal are in 9th place. They dropped from 8th to 9th. They are currently tied with DC on 40 points. Charlotte are in 5th still. Hold on. Let me make that a separate. I'm gonna make it a separate tab so I can just move like I can just go back and forth. There we go. Okay, so Charlotte are in 5th now, right? 5th place for Charlotte. Columbus Crew beating the Philadelphia Union 3-2. Columbus remain in 2nd place. Philly are down in 11th now with that loss, making their lives a lot harder to qualify for the playoffs. Cincinnati lost to Orlando City, which I think is very crazy. I think like that's an insanely crazy game. This is now Orlando City's 3rd win in a row, 4 out of 5 wins in their last here, let me 4 out of 5 wins in their most recent form. Cincinnati are still in 3rd, however, and both of them I think essentially both of them qualified for playoffs. It's just in terms of where they're going to land. But it looks like Orlando is going to be staying put in 4th place, and Cincinnati is going to be staying put in 2nd. So I think 1 through 4 is essentially secured. Yeah, no, they're secured because even if they win. Oh, no, because NYCFC can still win their next 2 games. So it's not secured yet. It's not secured yet. DC United beat New England, which is insane. So that just makes New England's life even worse. They're not going to be qualifying for playoffs. DC are in 8th place now. They're keeping their playoffs hopes alive. Minnesota, and this is the Western Conference, which we're not going to talk about the Western Conference because essentially it doesn't matter. Sporting Kansas City got absolutely smoked. Austin was putting up a fight against LA Galaxy. Raw Salt Lake. Okay, yeah, no, it doesn't really matter, but in terms of that. But this is what the league table looks like now. So if the league were to end today, if the regular season were to end today, Inter Miami would play the winner of DC versus Montreal. I mean, in that case, that's kind of anybody's game, really. I would kind of assume DC would win because I think Benteke's just kind of been on a tear as of late. Did he score in this last game against New England? He did. He scored in the 8th minute. And they ended up giving New England an own goal. That was the only reason why they scored. Let's see what you guys are saying. Vamps United, we're going to cook Charlotte. Have you heard about the DC Nashville game? No, what happened in the DC Nashville game? Had big playoff contentions, Eastern Conference playoffs. They need to study Cincinnati's fall after they beat yeah, honestly, yeah, after they beat a 6-1. And then in 2nd place, okay, Columbus Crew, they've secured their spot. They have 2 games remaining. What do they play next? What's this year? They play, oh damn, they play New England also. Wait, do New England have 2 games? Oh, they do have 2 games remaining. So Columbus Crew, I think they're playing New England first. They play them on the 12th. Yeah, we play them on the 22nd. Yeah, or on the 19th, whatever. Columbus are most likely going to be beating New England on that day. And then the last game of the season, they have the Red. Who the fuck? Did you guys hear that? It's like this loud-ass motorcycle outside. So, and then Columbus have the New York Red Bulls in the last game of the season, which honestly is going to be a very, very good game. We'll come back to it. We'll have a separate live stream about it, or I can do it in one of the previews. We could just talk about the MLS fixtures and we'll talk about like playoff contentions, and like we'll give predictions of who will win what, because because these are the two games that are being played today. Let me. I feel like, why do I feel like this is always like not aligned? These are the two games that are playing today: NYCFC versus Nashville, which should be a good game. Portland versus FC Dallas. I think that should be a good game as well, actually. Dallas. Are Dallas doing well? No, Dallas. I mean, they're still in playoff. Oh, actually, no, they're not. Um, yeah, no, they're not. No, Dallas are not in playoff contentions at all. What about Portland? Portland, I think, are in the play. Yeah. So Portland are still in playoff contention. I think they've actually qualified for playoffs because Austin only have one game remaining. Even if they win, that's 42 points. Yeah. So yeah, no, essentially everybody in the Western Conference has confirmed their spot in the playoffs. Um, yeah, yeah. Everybody in the Western Conference confirmed their spot in the playoffs. It's just in terms of the seeding, I think it's still changed between these guys. But that doesn't really matter. So yeah, I mean, like we can have like streams talking about the Eastern Conference, contention. That shit was loud as fuck. Yeah, that's kind of crazy. Was it actually? DC scored in the 75th, 90th, and 97th minute to come back in a 3-1 deficit. Let me actually look up that game now that you're talking about it. DC. Wait, DC Nashville game. What do you mean DC Nashville game? DC played the Revs. What game are you talking about? This game? Oh shit. Huh. I didn't even see this game. This is actually a crazy win for DC. Pirani scoring in literally the dying minutes of the game. That's a crazy win for DC against a Nashville who just hasn't been on it this season. Good for DC, dude. Good for DC. I think DC deserved to be in the playoffs. Do we have a chance of facing them? Because if first, let's say we play Montreal for 8th, right? First play 8th, let's just say, yeah, I guess we do if they beat Montreal. And if they go higher up, we'll probably play them in like either the semifinals. We'll see. I don't know. Knocked out Nashville. It was on Wednesday. We can beat Miami. Yeah, no, I mean, like anybody can beat Miami. DC have been in kind of a good run in terms of results wise. I don't think they've lost in like 3 games. Yeah, they haven't lost in 3 games. Their biggest loss came to Philly. That's actually a really big loss. I don't know how you guys lose 4-0 to Philly. That's kind of crazy. You guys concede a lot of goals is what I noticed. So I don't know how. I feel like your defense is something to definitely to keep an eye out for. You guys conceded 67 goals this season. I think that's one of the worst defensive teams in the league. Yeah, that's definitely one of the worst besides San Jose Earthquakes. You guys are one of the worst defensive teams in the league. The second worst to be specific. So I kind of like our chances if you guys are the worst defensive teams in the league. You're also not really that. I mean, you scored 52 goals. That's pretty good. So yeah, I mean, like I think honestly, like in my genuine opinion, the only teams that we need to be looking out for are we need to look out for the 2 New York teams. Mainly I feel like more NYCFC because for some reason we just can't win against them. Every game that we played against NYCFC, especially in this year, like we just tied 1-1. We need to look out for Columbus. I think we can beat Cincinnati. So I feel like it's not too much of a threat. And then maybe Orlando. But I think our biggest threats are the 2 New York teams and Columbus. Those are like our biggest threats. I think we can beat Charlotte. I think we can beat DC. I think we can beat Montreal. Montreal, I think we struggled in the past as well. Um, I think when we traveled to Montreal, we actually beat them, but I'm not too sure about that. I think we could beat Cincinnati. I said we could beat Charlotte. I think we can beat the Red Bulls. Like if I were to play any of the two teams, I would like any of the two New York teams, I would rather play the Red Bulls because I think we have a better chance to play the Red Bulls. Inter Miami definitely have the record for getting conceded. For getting conceded in less than a minute. I mean, like, yeah, we do concede. I mean, like, honestly, we're not even one of the worst defensive teams in the league. We don't concede a lot of goals at all. Actually, like relative to the rest of the league, we we actually concede like very few goals. We're probably one of the better defensive teams in the league, which is kind of crazy to say, because we can see like it feels like we concede a lot, and I feel like our defense is just not the best in the world. But I think we're one of the better teams. We're one of the better defensive teams, at least in the Eastern Conference. If we play good fundamental football, we are whipping everybody's ass. I 100% agree. Our home field advantage gives us an advantage over the crappy NYCFC. Yes, but even earlier on in the season, if you guys don't remember, I mean, like I think I made a video. I don't know if I made a video or I streamed about it earlier on in the season. Bro, you guys have to hear that. That is so loud. He's just going back and forth like around the neighborhood. That is so that's so obnoxious. I'm trying to go back to see when we played NYCFC in the beginning of the season, but we played them at home. Yeah, okay. Here, we played NYCFC at home and we tied 1-1. This is back March 30th. And this I don't think we had Messi playing in this game. Yeah, no, we had Gressel, Suarez, Taylor, Gomez, Bright, Ruiz, Chelo, Sailor, Busi, Alba, Calendar. So it was still a pretty strong lineup, and we just couldn't do anything against this NYCFT. And this is at Chase Stadium. This is at Chase. This is in our home. Um, don't of course fucking Aviles came off the bench and still got a yellow card, bro. That's so crazy to me. Yeah, this is back when Messi had an injury. Yeah, that's kind of crazy. So, yeah, so like we just always struggle to play against NYCFC. So no matter if it's home or away, I think if we come back home and play NYCFC, maybe we'll be a little bit more prepared. But genuinely, like I would just rather not play NYCFC. I would literally rather play like I'd rather play the Red Bulls. I'd rather play Cincinnati. I'd rather play like Charlotte or like Montreal. Round two of the bike. Yeah, no, Messi didn't play against NYCFC the first time when they played here at home. We start every game by back passing, which leads to opposition players getting in or that. No, it's either that or we push too high up and then they'll play an over the top ball and then we concede. That's how we conceded a goal. That's how we conceded an early goal. I believe it was against Columbus in the second half. Remember in Columbus? Remember in the game against Columbus, we made it 2-0 late in the first, and then we conceded pretty in like the first 30 seconds of the second half, and that was because we were pressing high. We were pressing way too high. But anyways, yeah, no, that's gonna be the end of the. That's gonna be it for me, guys. I don't know what else to essentially talk about. I think we just have that points record alive. We have the New England game to look forward to later on this month. Remember, we go on the international break, but I still will be live streaming the Argentina game, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode of the Herons Haven podcast here on the Social Soccer channel. My name is Matt, your host. As always, Miami get another win, saved by the bell, saved by Campana, and I'll see you guys next week. I believe it's Thursday Argentina play. So I'll see you guys next week for another live stream. Keep that notification bell turned on, and so you guys know when I go live. And yeah, hope you guys have a great rest of your Sunday. Stay safe and take care, man. Vamos Miami, man. Vamos.